Welcome, intrepid souls, to a realm where the echoes of the past reverberate through the cold, desolate corridors of Alcatraz. This is the island of evil spirits, where shadows whisper tales of terror and despair. A rocky outcrop of land nestled in the heart of the San Francisco Bay, this place is pregnant with the haunting memories of its past inhabitants. Every crevice, every stone, seems to shiver with the chill of untold stories. Before Alcatraz became the infamous prison we know today, it was a place shrouded in mystery, a land feared and revered by a people whose history is richly interwoven with the land itself, the Miwok Indians. These native inhabitants of Northern California revered the island as a place of foreboding, a location they believed was the dwelling place of wicked spirits. Their legends painted a vivid picture of a darkness, a malevolent presence that lurked within the rocky confines of the island, seeping into the very stones that formed its foundation. The Miwok people, an otherwise peaceful tribe known for their basket weaving and shellfish gathering, felt an icy terror grip their hearts as they were shackled and taken to this island of dread. The year was 1859, and it marked the beginning of a dark chapter in their history. The island, previously untouched by the oppressive hand of Western, was suddenly transformed into a military prison. It became a fortress of stone and iron, designed to instill fear and keep the unruly in check. In 1859, the US Army deemed Alcatraz as an ideal location for a military prison due to its inaccessibility and the cold, swift currents of the surrounding waters. It was to be a place of punishment, a purgatory for those who dared defy the rules and laws enforced by the growing American nation. Every stone, every cell, every bolt and bar that was put in place on Alcatraz bore silent witness to the despair that hung heavy in the air. As the years rolled on, the island's reputation only grew darker and more forbidding. Alcatraz was not just a prison. It was a chilling symbol of the lengths the authorities would go to maintain order. It stood as a haunting monument to the power of the law and the dire consequences of defiance. It was a place where the rule of law was absolute, where transgression ruthlessly punished. Yet even as Alcatraz represented the harshness of law and order, it also bore testament to the resilience of the human spirit. The very walls that sought to confine and oppress became a canvas upon which many inmates expressed their hopes, fears, and dreams. It was within these cold, desolate walls that they clung to their humanity, even when faced with the most inhuman conditions. Alcatraz, this island of chilling tales and haunted memories, continues to echo with the whispers of the past. Its reputation as a place of fear and punishment prevails, a somber testament to a time when it was known as the Island of Evil Spirits. Long before Alcatraz became the notorious prison we know today, long before the Miwok Indians were shackled and transported to its rocky shores in 1859, an ominous presence was believed to lurk in its midst. And so, the story of Alcatraz continues, each stone, each cell, whispering tales of the past, marking the beginning of a dark chapter in its history. The 19th century watched intently as Alcatraz morphed into a formidable military prison. The transformation echoed through the island, with the clinking of chains synchronizing with its brutal past. This metamorphosis was anything but swift. Rather, it was steeped in the tempestuous waves that relentlessly assaulted the cold, stony cliffs of the island. A fortress, an imposing edifice of concrete, was the first harbinger of this shift, an architectural marvel destined to become a symbol of dread. This daunting monolith didn't rise overnight. Instead, it was erected over the years like a cruel drama, a monument built with the blood, sweat, and tears of inmates who were condemned to labor incessantly, their freedom gradually evaporating with each passing day. The construction process was grueling, with inmates digging, cutting, and chiseling the stone under the watchful eyes of armed guards. Their toil was relentless, the clang of hammers and the screech of metal against stone forming a haunting symphony that echoed against the island's rocky cliffs. As the years rolled by, the fortress took shape. The inmates built the suffocating walls that would confine them, and the cold, narrow cells that would cage their spirits. They poured concrete, laid bricks, and installed iron bars, each action sealing their fate. The groundwork for what was destined to become a maze of nightmares was painstakingly laid, one stone at a time. In 1933, the island's grim aura was amplified when the Federal Bureau of Prisons stepped in. They infused new life into Alcatraz, but it was a life devoid of hope. They brought with them a rogues gallery of criminals, society's most dreaded outlaws, Machine Gun Kelly, the notorious racketeer, Robert Shroud, the infamous Birdman of Alcatraz, and the legendary mob boss, Al Capone. These names sent shivers down the spine of America. Their crimes were no whispered in hushed tones, but were etched into the walls of Alcatraz, their individuality stripped away the moment they donned the ashy prison uniforms. With the arrival of these daunting figures, Alcatraz became a place of dread and despair. The luxury liners that once graced the Bay Area sailed away, abandoning the prisoners to their fate. As their world shrank to a few square feet of cold, hard concrete, the tantalizing lights of San Francisco danced mockingly at the horizon. The city was an unreachable haven, a tormenting mirage that haunted the prisoners' sleepless nights. Alcatraz was no stranger to tragedy. It clung to the island like a relentless specter, coloring every stone and reinforcing the despair that permeated the air. The prison's history was punctuated with countless instances of suicides, murders, and escape attempts. One, the most harrowing escape attempts, was in 1946. This desperate bid for freedom ended in a bloodbath, a chilling testament to the extreme lengths prisoners were willing to go to escape their incarceration. Then there was Block C, a place of chilling tales and echoing despair. Strange noises persisted here, inexplicable clanging that shattered the silence of the long dark nights. These echoes whispered tales of despair and defiance, painting a vivid picture of a forgotten past. One cell in particular was notorious, Cell 14D. This was a hole where rebellious inmates were cast into the abyss of total isolation. Ruth McCain, a man who spent over 3 years in this accursed cell, bore the physical and mental scars of his confinement. Just one story among many, a tangible reminder of the despair that hung heavy in the air of Alcatraz, a chilling testimony to its malevolent grip. Rewind to the year 1984, a time when the paranormal activity at Alcatraz reached an alarming climax. Midsummer of this year marked a critical point in the history of the once infamous federal penitentiary, as an unprecedented supernatural event began to unfold. The prison stood there, cold and brooding, its decaying walls echoing the anguished cries of the criminals who once lived within. The once bustling corridors were silent, save for the continuous, eerie sound that grew more pronounced with every passing day. It was an unnerving combination of metallic clanging and air, a sound that seemed to be a premonition, a forewarning of a terror yet to be unleashed. Amidst this escalating chaos was Ranger Rex Norman, a seasoned ranger who had been with the prison since its closure. Rex was a man of exceptional resilience and fortitude. However, the eerie happenings at Alcatraz were more than a test of courage for him. They were unfathomable, terrifying, and pushed his sanity to the brink. The mysterious sound of steel swinging in the wind was gnawing at his peace of mind. It was at this point that he realized the need for reinforcements, for someone with expertise in understanding the supernatural, to help resolve the otherworldly occurrences at Alcatraz. And so, he decided to seek assistance from the mystical realm. Enter psychic Sylvia Brown, the renowned clairvoyant, infamous for her ability to perceive and communicate with the unseen. Brown was a contentious figure, with skeptics often challenging her claims. Regardless, Rex was desperate, and he was willing to go to any lengths to decipher the mystery. When Brown arrived at the island, the frosty, spine-chilling atmosphere didn't frighten her. Instead, she embraced it, determined to uncover the malevolent entity that had been tormenting Alcatraz. With her psychic abilities, Sylvia was able to identify the tormentor as Butcher Malkowitz, a notorious hitman of the past, infamous for his cold-blooded assassinations. Now his restless spirit was left to wander the prison in eternal unrest. This revelation sent chills down everyone's spine, but also brought a sense of validation to Rex's fears. Despite their best efforts, Sylvia's attempts to coax the irate spirit of the butcher to leave were unsuccessful. Even though the psychic's endeavor ended in futility, it didn't stop people from trying to restore tranquility. Alcatraz, to this day, remains ensnared within the haunting grip of its tormented past, serving as a chilling reminder of the terrors that once resided within its walls. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, the world is a place filled with mysteries, and one such enigma is the island of Alcatraz. This island, lying in the San Francisco Bay, has been the subject of countless tales, each emanating a chill that frosts your spine. But what makes the island of Alcatraz so compelling, you might ask? It's not just the eerie whispers that skulk in every corner, or the ghostly apparitions reported to haunt its desolate cells. No, it's also the potent energy that permeates the air, seeping into your skin as you step foot on its hauntingly quiet shores. Skeptics argue it's merely the remnants of the past, the lingering energy of the island's infamous inmates echoing in the silence. Yet believers sense something more sinister, an omnipresent force that lurks in the shadows, whispering tales of its haunting past. Countless brave hearts and curious minds have ventured to Alcatraz, spurred by an insatiable thirst for uncovering the truth behind the supernatural claims. Some returned recounting harrowing tales, experiences that seemed to validate the island's fearsome reputation. Others, however, vanished, their mute absence a chilling testament to Alcatraz's sinister allure. Every whispering wind, each rustling leaf, the eerie silence of the desolate cells, and the ceaseless waves crashing against the island's rocky shorelines all seemed to echo warnings, a foreboding message to those daring enough to venture. Despite the dread and terror it instills, there's an irresistible allure to Alcatraz, a chilling yet fascinating enchantment that holds you captive, and a foreboding curiosity that won't release its grip. This paradoxical attraction continues to draw people, adding to the island's long list of visitors, skeptics, and believers alike. Alcatraz is a timeless entity, its presence imposing, casting a haunting shadow of its past that refuses to fade. And it beckons, always beckons. It reaches out, whether from the confines of its desolate cells, the depths of dark folklore, or the recesses of our collective nightmares, a haunting shadow that refuses to fade.